Awesome.
Are on. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Board of Equalization of Albemarle County. It's May 1, 2025. First meeting where we're hearing applicant argument on the assessments. So do first just do a roll call. If members starting on my right could identify themselves into the microphone.
Frank Friedman.
Thank you, Frank.
Bob Beard, Samuel Miller District.
Evan Mayo.
David Mitchell, Whitehall.
David Norford, Ravenna.
Okay, so we do have a quorum, and Mr. Bill Howard is absent this week. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the March 27th, 2025 meeting?
Yes.
Are there any revisions or proposed amendments to the minutes as prepared by the assessor's office?
Move approval.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes unanimously to adopt the minutes of the March 27th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Equalization. There's two very quick sort of points of order before we get to the first hearing today. And the first is a consideration for approval of the draft remote participation policy that we talked about a little bit in March. Does anyone have any questions or wish to call for discussion on the remote participation policy?
Is there a limit to the number of people? My experience with online meetings is there's too many that aren't there. It gets unwieldy.
That is correct. The limit is that you have to have a quorum in person.
Okay.
So, you know, as long as you have
I'm
meet
cool with
that.
All right,
yeah.
that's, yeah.
Let me just make sure I'm clear. Just being on vacation is not sufficient justification.
That is correct.
And
But it has been done before, you know, under, you know, the general, we didn't have this policy adopted for this group, but we have had people that have participated on vacation. I can't remember the wording of the document. I don't have it in front of me.
but if this is passed, that's not justification.
That is correct. That is correct.
And then the second question is, why is there a distinction between in-country and out-of-country?
The county has a policy of not, well, it actually came from the inability to use county equipment out of the country. So anyone with a county computer or cell phone or even email address cannot use that while out of the country. They're automatically shut down.
But what if you're
now in
using
this
your-
case, you know,
Your own computer, your own email address?
that is correct. So the county attorney pointed out to me that as long as you are not using any of the county equipment, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to participate when out of the country. I added that, you know, to be totally clear, I added that because, you know, I thought that anyone on a trip out of the country really, you know, instead of having to worry, it wasn't the technical part. It was really having to do with, you know, the documentation and looking at everything while you're on vacation. I thought it would be more appropriate to just separate from that meeting and not have to participate during that time. And seeing that there are 6 board members, you should be able to meet a quorum even with somebody out of the country. That was my reasoning. Now, that's fine if you don't agree and the board wants to take that clause out.
Is there a motion to amend?
I'm okay with the explanation.
Is there a motion to adopt the policy?
I move we adopt the policy.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4, consideration of request for additional time by Lawrence Miller, 3 parcels. I guess I'll go first on this one. I reviewed the nature of the request by Mr. Miller for extra time. It appeared to me that there were not, I think that the parcels are not so unique that they would justify so much extra time. And I think that those arguments advanced by Mr. Miller could be advanced by many of the folks who come in front of the board. And for that reason, I lean towards politely declining the request, but would like to hear from others on it.
I agree with you. I don't see the need for this extent of added time.
Thank you, David. Anyone else wish to be heard on that matter?
May I just, the board, if you deny the request for extra time, you can just stipulate that all 3 can be heard at one time. So he can spend his 30 minutes that he gets for all 3 hearings as one group and make one presentation. It's all the same.
Can we leave
While
that
each
to his
one might
option?
have slight differences in how they're adjusted, it's really all the same argument.
Can we make that his option?
Sure, sure.
I mean, I'm fine with that if anybody else is. Let him make that choice.
Okay.
So that way he would just have 30 minutes, do his thing all at once.
Right. I mean, they're similar enough that his arguments are.
Yeah. I will say that generally in the cases where we have allowed extra time, I have not felt like there was a clear point of diminishing returns. And the last 20 or 30 or hour of it is rarely as impactful as the first. Is there a motion then to respond to Mr. Miller's request for extra time on his 3 parcels?
I would motion that he does not get cumulative extra time, but he may choose to combine his time into one for all 3
Do I
for a
understand?
maximum of 30 minutes.
Do I understand then that the request would be denied, but we would ask the assessor's office to relay to Mr. Miller that we'd invite him to conjoin his time?
Yes.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Okay, with those, any other sort of housekeeping matters before we move to the first hearing? All right. So then it is time for hearing number 1, application number 36, submitted by Walter and Patricia Burgoyne.
Good morning. Is that close enough? Good morning.
Good morning.
Better? Okay. You have before you my appeal. As you can see, it's pretty simple and straightforward. For my part, I will not be taking much time, but I do have some questions and concerns about the assessor's proposal. Hopefully, most will be probably answered during his time. So I'm asking that whatever time is left over from now be carried over to the latter part. Is that okay? Okay, good. The next one is a little bit unusual. My second request is, my wife came along, she was interested in coming, but I said, man, that's a good time for her to do some video work. But since you're already videoing, she doesn't need to do that. So we can get a copy of this in the end?
Yes, it's hosted on the website as a streamable file, and I think it can be downloaded as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I want to find out how bad I did. Thank you. All right, so getting started on the application for appeal, there was only 4 reasons allowed. We as individuals are allowed to address before the board. 2 of them we're not going to deal with was the appraisal's too low. I wouldn't come before you if the appraisal was too low. So that's out of the question. And the other one was condition of the property. It wasn't an issue. With the remaining 2, I decided to give you both of them. All right. One was, the first one was let me say it this way. I did the two of them so that you can see a wider range of issues that we're dealing with. The first is how to determine a fair market value. That's my job to present to you a different way than what the assessor does. Okay? So that's really hard to come up with a reason, how I can come up with ways to show you that there's a different value. And I tried to do that 3 different ways. The first, well, I'll get to that in a minute. And then the second one, it says, well, what is the fair market value? According to the published statements for the county, fair market value is defined as the most probable price that a property would bring if exposed for sale in the open market in an arm's length transaction between a willing seller and a willing buyer. Sounds pretty simple. And unless you have a computer program that discounts the fact that you had a sale. Okay? One of the options I gave in my report, so that's one of the options I gave in my report. So one approach is using the actual sales price. Sales price was $785,000. Another option was use comps, the comp approach. I did that and I showed you 3 different properties, 2 of them which were in the same market area that was given to me. And from that, it was $799, $991. The third approach, which I think is kind of novel in a sense, is to use estimates from websites like Zillow and Realtor and Homes and places like that. Now we say, well, why do you want to use that? Well, research has shown that their numbers of, if you want to call it a ratio of what they estimate to actual sales is like 97%. They do a pretty good job of estimating. So that came out to be 798, 607. As you can see, there's not a 2% difference between all 3. All right? Whether it's the sales, the comps, or the estimates. Based on those, the market value that we determined was $794,200. This value is $93,800 below the assessed value, which the amount of adjustment that we're requesting, I am requesting. Next, we need to deal with the inequality of assessments. Get over here, okay? This is the second allowed of the 4. The chart's pretty straightforward. It reflects the massive inequalities that exist between the so-called comparables. When one property is assessed at $100,000 more, and another property is assessed at $100,000 less, it's hard to say we have equity in that system, okay? But according to the program and the assessor's office, they're great because it's 1-to-1. In other words, it's 100% accurate when you add the 2 together, and they say everything's good. I'm sorry, as a taxpayer, because this applies to taxes directly 1-to-1, correct? So one person is paying up to $100,000 more in taxes, while the other person is paying less for their $100,000. I don't think that's fair and equitable. So that's my simple and concise alternatives to the board. And I hope you approve what I'm asking for in the $93,000. Very short and sweet. I'll come back later. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear now from the assessor's office, please.
Yes, sir. So I'll first address the sale price, and we see that sale prices can vary across the board based on the time of year, based on motivations of the seller and buyer. And what we found in our information is typically the best information is from the agents that are involved, the real estate agents that are involved. In this case, we spoke to the selling agent who indicated that the seller had already bought a new home. They were just ready to go and they weren't really interested in sticking around and getting the most probable price for this property that Mr. Burgoyne described in the definition. And that tends to skew what the sale price might be. So we contend that the seller would have gotten more money if they had gotten multiple offers, and especially in this market, we still see multiple offers. We still see offers above the asking price. So all of that we expect would have shown a different sales price if the seller had been normally motivated, market motivated. And then Mr. Burgoyne's comment about where we do mass appraisal and we create our model, we determine values, and then we look at the range of ratios of sale price to assessment. Or did I get that backwards? Assessment to sale price, sorry. Assessment to sale price ratio. There is a range. So I will just, we never say that our values are 100% accurate. We do mass appraisal and we expect a range. And we clearly show the range of assessment to sale price ratios. And in this case, with the 9 sales that took place in Ballard, they range from 89% to 116%. There's no way I would call that 100% accurate. However, it is within parameters, set by the IAAO for doing mass appraisal, which is what we do. And I feel that the value of this property is appropriate based on the model being correctly calibrated based on these sales, and that in conjunction with the fact that we feel that Mr. Burgoyne, Mr. and Mrs. Burgoyne got a good deal on this house because of the lack of motivation of the seller, the non-typical market motivation of the seller. That's why there's a discrepancy between the assessment and the sale price. We also want to point out that the owner provided comparables that were all 2-story or 1.5-story. It's a 1-story house can be different in how it compares to those properties when you compare them by square foot rates or anything else. So it's always important to consider one-story home sales as long as you have some. And there are some in the assessor provided comps. We have some 1-story home sales. We added a few from what we segment out as Old Trail Village single family, but there are also some from within Ballard. So, we provide 4 1-story comps, which we think is much more appropriate if you're just looking at a comparison of properties that sold to the subject to compare to a 1-story instead of all 2 stories or 1.5 stories. So we feel that our value, despite the fact it is well above what he paid for it, is appropriate market value for this property based on our model, and that the model is appropriate and well supported.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Okay, well, the applicant, I think, has 4 minutes left for rebuttal.
So there's some issues that I'm confused. Was the evaluation of 888,100 from the comparables of 1-story homes? This is right there together.
So I understood Mr. Lynch's office to be clarifying that, or to be pointing out, maybe is a better word, that the range of comparables that their office selected is a better match because your property is a 1-story home.
1-story homes. So you're saying it's based on the 1-story home. Okay. That's good to know. The assessor makes an issue of the owner's comps versus the assessor's comps. You know where I got my comps from? The gentleman right there. He sent it to me. I didn't create that. I didn't make that up. It came from the assessor's office. When he told me these were the comps, those are the comps I used. I didn't go outside of that to try to prove my point. I just used his own comps, okay? Um, I didn't try to distort the numbers. They're his numbers. Secondly, I am totally aggravated by what's been taking place today. Not only was the assessor's office misleading about the owner's comps, it's misleading about the lack of a single-family home in my evaluation. Like I manipulated comps to avoid one-level homes. No, it's whatever was given to me, okay? He infers that the sellers were under stress due to time constraints and financial concerns with possible having two homes at the same time since he had already bought one. He indicates that he got this information from the listing agent. Who talked to the listing agent? Anybody here? I did. Let me give you her reaction. You would be shocked to learn that Mr. Lynch nor anyone in his office ever contacted the selling agent or listing agent. Never did. One of the reasons I'm just totally outraged, okay? But I did,
Mr.
and
Burgoyne,
she was
can I
appalled.
ask a question?
Yes,
So is that true that the first offer was accepted?
no, I'm getting there, okay? I may have to take an extra minute to get there, but I'll try to get there, all right? She was totally appalled that somebody would quote her after never even talking to her. She wanted to come here today, but I only got the information this week, and I didn't get a chance to talk to her until yesterday. And when I told her the meeting was today, she had a conflict where she wanted to come here and stand before this board and tell you all it's all fabricated, okay? So I don't lose my place. I'm going to quote some of the things from her, and you are welcome to contact her, okay? She said that the sale was above board and that no one was under duress, that she herself developed the selling price and the owners agreed to it, that the selling price was at fair market value that she had determined, that there had been multiple offers and ours was the fourth offer, and that we paid asking price. There was no negotiations. I did not counter an offer or anything. Neither did they. We gave them what they asked for. And they asked for based on fair market value that the listing agent created. The agent was extremely upset and offered to come here, which I've already told you that, okay? I can't believe that a public office would distort facts in order to win a case. But it seems like this is what's happening. This validates the mistrust people have in the assessment process. And now I'm not the only one. And finally, the issue that makes this process truly implausible is the fact that the county assessor's office is not in compliance with state regulation, nor the IAAD standard of mass application and the standard of ratio studies. Because this is a taxation process, even though it's here an assessment process, it becomes highly questionable to take the assessment and use it for taxation. They have not performed the required on-site reviews within the allotted timeframe. And they have not done the proper quality control over mass appraisal programs. No ratio studies have been done as required. This puts the assessments into a highly questionable category, and the county is at risk for that. I have no further questions, no further answers or comments.
Thank you. I'd like to give the assessor's office an opportunity to respond if they want to.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Lewis is the one who spoke to the agent, so I'll have him speak to this.
Yeah, first thing, the comps that I provided Mr. Burgoyne, usually when somebody asks for sales during this whole process, I give them the sales that occurred in their specific neighborhood. I gave him the Ballard sales, not necessarily all of Old Trail, but the ones in his specific section. When I started the write-up for this appeal, I called the listing agent and forgive me, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. But I called her and spoke with someone in their office, told her what I was doing, what I was asking about, and what I had in the report was exactly what I was told. I wish I could remember her name. I might have it written down somewhere, but that's what I was told when I told her the address, was asking why, this sold for 785. I told her what we had it assessed for, and I was curious. I just wanted to know more about the sale. What I put in the report was what I was told.
And is that part of the assessor's office normal practice to make those calls and to take note
Yeah.
of what, whatever context or color you get about the nature of the negotiation?
Yeah, especially when we're, really high or really low, we want to try and figure that out.
So, also, I just wanted to point out that even though we provided all the comparables, I'm assuming all the comparables from the neighborhood, all 9 of them were provided to the owner.
I sent the sales report, so yeah.
Yeah, only 8 of them were included in his analysis.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have questions? Mr. Burgoyne or the assessor's office?
I have a question for the assessor's office concerning the sale. I'm getting the impression that you all thought it was sort of a quick sale. They didn't hold out for a longer period. So what would be, give us a little bit of the time frame there. Was it like 2 weeks or 3 months, or do we have any idea about that?
I don't remember the time on market myself.
The active status on the listing for the property was January 24th of 2024. And then it went pending January the 28th of 2024.
Those
4 days?
Yes, sir.
I have a question for the applicant.
Yes, sir.
Was the listing agent and the buying agent the same?
Yes. Her name was Denise. Did you talk to Denise?
Denise Ramsey?
Yeah, well, I talked to Denise, who was the listing selling
Denise
agent.
Ramey was Long
Right.
and Foster, and then the selling office, Loring Woodruff Real Estate.
So it's not the same?
Garcia is the selling agent.
You're saying Denise listed and sold it. She represented the
Well-
buyer and the seller?
No. If I
Okay.
said that, no,
That's what okay.
that's not what I meant. Okay. She was a listing agent, went through the process. I don't know the difference between a selling. But she
The listing
listed,
agent's the one who's got the name on the sign of the
yes,
property. that
she
you
was a listing agent.
Looked at it.
She was a
Denise.
listing agent that they're referring to.
And your agent was who helped you write the contract and make the offer.
Was different, was not her.
Okay.
But no, I talked to the listing agent who carried out the negotiations and everything else, worked with the homeowners to get the house ready, told them what they needed to do, met with our agent.
You had a
So-
separate agent.
Yes.
Who was that?
I'm sorry, I will get that name.
It's
I don't-
not important. I was just,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if I stated something wrong, I'm sorry. There were 2 different people.
so it is true that 1-story homes are more per square foot than 2-story homes. Let me
Just say this.
I'm a builder. It costs more to build it.
Yeah.
And you have to spread the cost of the land
Oh.
over a smaller
Yeah.
square footage. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a fact.
It is. I understand that. But I do want to say this. Their with a pool of comps that they use for 1-story, if you look at the ratio of assessments to sales, 91%. It's almost invalid at that point in time. Actually, it's 90.9, okay? That's how wild it is. And I don't think it's a fair evaluation.
So I just point out that when you did your calculation, I want to make sure I understand this. You did your calculation with your bar chart. You used 3. And I think they were all 2-story They were, one was a 1.2, I don't know what a 1.25 and a 1.
yeah,
What is that?
Yeah,
It's a
I don't
1.5
know.
Is that a
story.
cape?
It's basically a Cape Cod.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
and I didn't I didn't feel like I had a choice. They
Well-
gave me the comps.
Well, this section here, this is owner provided comparables, and then the next page is assessor provided comparables.
Correct. And that's just to provide further support for
But
the value.
why is the owners provided comparables? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them.
Well,
Okay,
one of them is a subject.
Sorry, 8 of them.
Eight of-
But you provided 8 to them, but you only used 3 in your graph.
based on the fact that some of them, in my opinion,
Okay.
would I compare a 2,500 square foot house to a 5,000 square foot house?
That's fair.
Okay,
But-
would I
But,
compare a
but you
three
didn't use
bedroom?
any 1 stories. So if you're gonna call them for,
No,
to be as close to matching for square footage, you should have also done that for worse,
Let me drop the bomb on you.
please.
Okay. The county didn't use any comps in coming up with the value of 888,100. He didn't use 1-story comps. My evaluation was based on costs. The cost approach. Comps had nothing to do with all this stuff. Okay? We've been blowing smoke all the time. Here's you have it right there. He should have it. Mine was based on cost. There was no comps.
How did you perform an analysis on the cost of building the house?
He did. I didn't. Here's all the data they used. It was given to me by this gentleman. Okay? So we're blowing smoke here. All this about comps has nothing to do. They didn't use that approach. They used a different approach.
Is that, want to comment on that? Let's use mass appraisal.
Yes,
Which-
that
which
page is
includes
just,
what?
that page is just a report of the model as it applies to his house. It's not a cost approach. And at the top, it says cost, but it's not a cost approach.
What is
I
the,
mean, it's not representative of the cost to build this house. It's a representation of the model
Cost to build a
recreating
house.
his value based on the market.
let me ask this. It says base rate, depreciation,
Mhm.
cost trends factor, RCNLD, whatever that is. You gave me all the factors right here. Okay?
That's correct. It looks like a cost approach.
I don't know what to believe, whether he gave you this stuff to tell me it was a cost or not.
So did you receive a copy of the assessor's office submission, from last week,
Yes,
the report?
yes.
Any further questions?
I have one. We did not swear anybody in. And seeing that there's kind of accusations of dishonesty, I would like to actually get everybody sworn in
Think-
and attest that everything we've already said is under oath.
Absolutely, I swear, right now.
All right, we'll go one at a time. Thank you so much. Great catch.
I would point out, here, say the right word. No offense, but niece isn't here. And
I will bring her next time.
But you understand my issue, right? Like
Yes,
the
but we-
person that is saying the words that you're saying is not here to, so you are testifying, this is what you remember her saying to you. But
Yes.
But we don't know.
Would you
exactly
like for
from her-
me to
for her
bring her
mouth.
next meeting?
Well, that's something we may consider.
You know, rather than discounting the he said, she said,
Yeah, that's what I'm.
rather than
that
not
was my-
believing me,
This is my point. That was
Okay.
my point.
I'll have her give you a call. She wants to be here. She
It
wants
has
to talk to you
be
guys.
in this meeting in public. It cannot be a phone call with me and her.
Fine. I will bring her next meeting if that's what you want to clarify the truth.
So, Mr. Burgoyne, would you mind, I'm going to swear you in quickly and we'll do the same thing for the assessor's office.
Yes.
So trying to remember how we started off here. Oh, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony, both oral and documentary, which you have given today was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And yes,
And Billy.
Mr. Lynch, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony, both oral and documentary, which you have given today was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And let me ask this question, since.
One second,
my-
one second. Let
Yeah.
me finish this
Sure,
process.
sure.
Could we have the other representative from the assessor's office also?
And we didn't quite, I don't know if you got the names, Mr. Mitchell, but it's Louis Herndon.
Thank you.
And I think he might already be on the list, on the minutes, the draft minutes.
All right, Mr. Herndon, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony, the oral testimony you gave today was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And thank you so much for catching my mistake, Mr. Lynch.
Could I just
you-
clarify something here?
Sure.
Mr. Burgoyne, you've stated that the listing agent was not contacted, correct?
Correct.
Louis, if I heard you correct, and this is what I'm trying to clarify, you did not talk to the listing agent, you talked to someone in that person's office. Is that correct? Could you speak in the microphone, please?
Yes.
I had called the listing agent's office. Denise Remy was not in. I did speak with I said listing agent, but I spoke with a representative from her office. I told her what I was doing, told her the address, and she knew about it just off the top of her head. She said she could help, and she gave me the information that I provided.
So it's quite possible that both of you are telling the truth.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just to clarify or a couple of things. When Mr. Herndon came out for a site visit, one of the first things he said to me, he says, you know, as soon as you called me and I looked at the numbers, I knew something was wrong. Didn't you say that? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything further from the rest of the board? So,
You have a basement that's unfinished?
Yes.
okay.
And the basement is unfinished, right?
I mean, it has value, but not the full value. It's kind of hard to.
Of the
Yes, it's unfinished.
4 one story.
All right, so we ran a little bit over, which I'll take responsibility
Oh,
for.
one last thing I want to clarify is an untruth. He did say that the 888-100 came from the comparables of one single family homes, correct? Did he say that?
That is incorrect. The 888, the assessment of the property was determined based on the sales study for the neighborhood, which includes all the sales that took place in the neighborhood. We provide additional comparables, additional, in a different layout so that the board can see a comparison of one-story homes so that you can see how they line up, because the owner has provided has provided comps and we want to provide it in the same way.
Mr. Burgoyne, I hope that this is clear. It's not the easiest thing in the world to grasp, but those are provided as a courtesy to you to match the evidence that you submitted. They used a mass appraisal technique that you would never have any hope of beating them at if that's all they relied on because you don't have the data. So it was providing those comps was an effort to meet you.
I didn't ask for the comps, sir. I did not ask for the comps. Okay,
Right.
someone said that earlier, but I take issue with that also.
Okay,
Okay, it was sent to me. I did not request it. All right. When the county assessor's office gives you data, you assume that's what it is. That's the comps. Okay. And if I was wrong in that, I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Okay. The single family homes you're referring to, some of them are in the brand new section. How old is it? Not even 1 year old? Well, you shouldn't include that where the house is 14. As an example, that's what I'm trying to say. They took another one from a way different section.
So
They're
Mr.
going even in
Burgoyne,
Ballard.
Mr. Burgoyne, I'm going to have to ask you to wind up just out of respect for the next.
Yeah, and I know you guys, you're here to protect the system. It's stated
That's-
that, no, it's stated that way that you,
Steve.
I think it's, I don't know where it's in the write-up for for this board. You assume automatically, it says that the assessor's office is correct. And that it's my position to have to prove them wrong. And I've tried to do that. That's all I've done. Okay?
That's not the same thing as what you said. What,
Say that again?
saying that we have to presume that the assessor is right first is not the same thing as accusing us of protecting the system. It's not.
No, it's not. I agree. I agree. I agree.
Right.
But, I don't have all the data. I don't have all the time. I don't have the staff. It's just the two of us. Okay? And when somebody says something and puts it in writing and gives it to you, and it's not true, I have to address it. Okay? And all I'm trying to say, from my perspective, it was smoke and mirrors coming to you guys. And that's what I was trying to explain. Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. So if the other members of the board agree, I would propose that we not deliberate at this moment. Let's go ahead and get the next hearing started, and then we can deliberate on both hearings afterwards. Does that work for everyone? I just want to be thoughtful about Mr. McDermott.
I'm fine with, we just have one left, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Mr. McDermott, we're ready for you. So this will be hearing number 2, application number 38, submitted by Michael and Katina McDermott.
Good morning. Thanks.
Good morning.
Thanks for the opportunity to present in front of you. Thanks for hearing my appeal. By way of background, we moved here to Charlottesville about 2.5 years ago from Omaha. It's a lot warmer here than is in Omaha. We like the winters a lot better here. We bought our home on October 3rd of 2022. And you see the price there. My question is not necessarily with, I guess in general, my point is that the assessment model, I think, includes a lot of variables. It includes square footage, it includes type of home, it includes finished square footage in the basement. Using the comps that were provided by the assessor's office, I think there's a discrepancy in the assessed value that they've arrived at, although Danielle did come out and do an assessment of the home graciously. She did a great job. I'm not here to complain about the assessor. I'm here to just say the model may have been skewed. I think there's, I'll use my phrase, some Kentucky windage in the model. And I think maybe if we can point out, I want to go to some of the comps and walk through some of the comps and maybe highlight some of those things that I think may be a little skewed. And I want to ask for your consideration. I did an assessment and all these numbers are from the assessor's website. So I did an assessment of properties sold in the Still Meadow area. It's about 140 to 150 homes. Very similar. I think there's 4 or 5 builders in the area. Did an assessment of both price increases from 22 to 23 to 24, and then median the sales price, and then actually median prices from 22, 23, 24. So let me just provide some background and some numbers. Sales prices in 23 increased over 22 by 1.64%. And then they jumped an additional 7.61% in 24. Those are the sale prices. The median prices jumped about 8.52% in 24 to 732,000, and then up to 810,000 in 24. That represented a 10.58% jump. So using that kind of as background, kind of start from there. I just wanted to talk through some of the comps that were provided. And call your attention to the paragraph in I think this document that you all have a copy of, which is on page 3, just above the assessment box. Total number of 25 B1 graded homes in Still Meadow neighborhood with a median appraised value of $741,000. And that the subject home, my home, actually falls, which is a B1 graded home, falls above that. It does. It falls above that by 30.36%. That comes out to about $225,000 above the median, which I think calls into question maybe the validity of the model or some of the components that go into the model. Secondly, and this is a secondary issue, I noticed on one of the data cards for our property, we have a whirlpool listed for a value of $3,500 or an assessed value. We don't have a whirlpool. We don't have a whirlpool tub in the house, and we don't have a spa like whirlpool outside. So I think the previous owners may have had those. We don't have that. So just by way of reference. So let me call your attention, if you would, to page 4. And I'm looking at the first comp 1. The value, it's 1870 River Inn Drive. Basically, a couple of things, couple of issues.
Hold
So-
on, our thing's slightly out.
Page
Yeah.
1870.
Thank we don't have a 4 on ours. I'm just trying to follow.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So it's on page 4. It's the first comp listed at the second column. 1870. So what you can see there is that the appraised value is 866,300. It's a 2-story. It's a B1 type of property. Average condition. If you take a look, the total square foot is slightly above my particular home, 3,164. You'll note that the bathrooms are very similar, 4 full and 1 half, and that the finished basement is within 25 square feet. And you'll notice the assessment on that is 866,300. The second comp, and I'm not going to go through it, just one. Go
We
ahead.
don't have the details on these. You're
This
reading
is-
from a card sheet?
No, this is the sheet that was sent by the assessor's office. You all sent this. And I guess in the letter, it said you all would have a copy.
But it's on the assessor side.
It's exactly, it's in
Yeah,
our
we
writer.
were looking on the, excuse me, we were looking on what you sent us. It had that address, but it didn't have
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
details.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, this is later data, and I think it's probably
Mr.
a little bit
McDermott,
more accurate. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you and really
Sure.
quick. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you're giving is true and accurate? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, thank you.
Referring again to page 4, comp 3. It's the 4th column over. Again, a larger lot. This is 130 River Inn Lane. It's a larger lot. The assessed value is $873K roughly. It is a larger home, 3,400 square feet. The number of bathrooms is comparable, and the finished square footage in the basement is higher, although the assessed price piece is lower. And then finally, I guess, let me go to page 5 and 6. So I'm looking at the first comp on page 5 and 6, which is 1870 River Inn Lane. And in that particular home, it's a larger lot than the current one. The assessed value is 866. It's average condition. The living area is larger. The bathrooms are comparable in terms of number and type. And the finished square footage is in the basement is very close to what, although the assessed value is about $100,000, $1,100 less than what we currently are looking at in my particular home. So to sum it up, I guess is that there are many variables in the model. I understand that: square footage, number of bathrooms, et cetera. But I think that in looking at the comparables in the same neighborhood, in the same age homes, I think there's a discrepancy in maybe the valuation. I did take a look at the median. I think it was stated here on page 1, or excuse me, on page 3, that the median appraised value of the whole neighborhood is about $741,900. Like I mentioned, mine is 30.36% higher, about 225K higher. If I took that number, 741, and I multiplied it by the median price increases that I mentioned when I first started of basically 10.58 and 8.52, I would come up with a value of about $883,000. I think that's probably low. I provided some information with you. I think that the range that I came in at was about 925K as a fair market assessment. And the way I arrived at that was I took the sales prices, those two that I mentioned earlier, the 1.64, the 7.81, accelerated those. That's how I got my value.
Okay,
That's all I have, sir.
thank you, sir. Anyone have questions for the? Okay, we'll hear.
Threw a
from-
lot of numbers at you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We've got it here in front of us, so.
It's all about numbers here.
It is about numbers.
So I just want to start off apologizing. We had some typos in our write-up where Mr. McDermott mentioned 130 River Inn Lane. That was actually 1830 River Inn Lane. The other information's correct.
That's why I couldn't
Yeah,
find it. You was
yeah.
looking for it. Yeah. I said, "Couldn't find it."
And I just want to point out that 1870 River Inn Lane on page 4 is the same sale on page 6.
Okay.
It was just, unfortunately, it was a little confusing. We provided the comps that we had during the review period, and then the owner provided the 3 comps for the review originally, and then the additional, including those same 3, the 22 comps for the Board of Equalization packet that he provided to us. So if there's a little confusion there, that's what it's from. Also on the first page of our write-up, what we had originally sent to the board and to Mr. McDermott just had the wrong historical assessments at the top. It doesn't make any material difference to the actual information. It was just wrong at the top. What you have right now, the board has right now, is correct, showing the 967,000 for the current assessment and $200. So I do want to point out, Mr. McDermott talks about shows the difference in the sales from 22 to 23 and 23 to 24. So this is sometimes can be misleading when you're looking at this. Not that Mr. McDermott's being misleading. It's just that these are the types of numbers you would see from Car MLS, where they say the average sale price has increased by 4% from last year to this year. It's not the same houses that have sold last year and this year. So you can easily have, now I'm going to exaggerate it just to make my point. You could have 10 homes that sell for an average of $1 million because they're really big homes in the neighborhood. And then you can have some smaller homes in the neighborhood the next year that sell for $700,000. That analysis would indicate a 30% reduction for the neighborhood over that year. However, they're totally different homes. And like I said, I'm exaggerating this for my point. But in that same period, the market has actually gone up. So the same home, if the same home had sold from one year to the next, it would have sold for more. So it's difficult to look at those numbers and use them, as an accurate accounting for what the change in value is. Having said that, what Mr. McDermott is saying is that overall, over those 2 years, it changed, I think, 9.25%.
Right.
Our assessments actually changed 10.6% over those 2 years. From 22 to the 22 sales to 23 sales went down 1.4%. And then in the last year, 23 to 24 sales for the current assessment, there was a 12.2% increase. So if you take that a little bit further and say his sale price of $850,000 increased by the 10.6%, you would come up with a $940,000 value. I'm going to do that math again just to make sure I didn't mess it up. Times 1.104. Oh, sorry, 1.106. Yes, that was correct. $940,000. So if you're just comparing the average change of assessments for the neighborhood compared to his sale price, you would actually come up with something pretty close to his assessment, about $27,000 below what his current assessment is based on the model. So one of the other things, and we included in the packet, several pictures in the back. And one of the reasons why his house is assessed for more than some of this comparable sales is because it's been renovated and it's in good, what we call good condition. So you can tell by those pictures that it is in good condition. And that good condition in our model makes the property more valuable, and rightly so. So we feel that that is properly reflected, and that's why it's difficult sometimes to just compare sales directly without any adjustments, because you're just looking kind of at a range of sales or a range of sale price per square foot. So again, we feel that this overall that kind of explains some of the differences you see, but also that we feel that the analysis or the calculation of this value through the same process, the same mass appraisal process, is appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. I note that you guys had made an adjustment based on some factors around the basement and the lot. Could you help us understand what the changes were made there and why you settled on that number as resolving whatever discrepancy you were trying to address?
I might have an answer.
Okay, so this is the note from the property from the original review we did. And this is from Danielle, and she can certainly answer any questions relating to that visit. All property info looked correct. There is a view adjustment on the land and there were no real views. Part of the view is the house behind them and the rest of is trees. Remove the view adjustment. So that would have come off the land. The previous owners remodeled the house, so kept in good condition. So we found that the good condition was appropriate. And we changed the basement type to full greater than 1,800 square feet. And I'm assuming we have different categories for those, for the basement itself, not the finish, where it could be a walkout or it could be a full basement or a full basement over a certain size, which would typically be a lower per square foot amount. And that, I'm assuming that it changed from a full basement. Okay, so it's a full walkout to just a full over 1,800 square feet. And that would be a slightly lower amount, lower per square foot amount for that calculation. And overall, during that review, we lowered the value $84,600. So the value that you're appealing or is being appealed today is the lowered value after that review.
Could I ask a question, just trying to understand all the numbers being thrown around? There are two comps listed. One is at 1870 River Inn Lane, and one is at 1830 River Inn Lane. Is that correct that they are two distinctive comps?
Yes, sir. Those are two distinct comps.
Okay,
They are both sales from 2022.
that's what I'm looking at.
That is correct.
Their sales were about the same time period of the property we're looking at. So that's why I'm focusing in on those. On both of them, the assessed value compared to the sale price is up approximately $60,000, $65,000, about 8%. And yet for the home we're looking at here, the subject home, the assessment over sale price is up about 117,000, approximately double. Why is that? Because I'm looking at two homes sold at about the same time, similar price, close. Is their assessed value 60,000 over sale price, and this home is 117,000 over sale price?
The differences, the only difference I see on the descriptions is good versus average.
That's the only difference I see. You know, I'm new to this.
Substantial difference.
I don't understand. Is that what justifies the difference, the good versus average?
It doesn't necessarily justify a difference over the sale price. It'll justify a difference in value of the good one over the average one. So if you're asking why are the two sales $60,000 above their sale price?
The assessed value is about 60,000 above the sale price for the two comps that I just mentioned.
You're mainly asking about the increase, there's a difference in the increase over
Yeah,
time.
why would two houses
Right,
increase
why is one,
60 and the other increase
Right.
117?
and-
About double.
and the only difference I saw was the good versus average. Like maybe that one hadn't been, those two hadn't been renovated yet. Can we get it? What is the difference between good and average? How do y'all?
It's a percentage. It's a less value is reduced for a good property based on its age than for an average property. And it's basically the difference between a percentage assigned to that year built that would be different for the good than the average.
These were built a year apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be very similar. Yes, yeah.
So you would discount an average over a good, or conversely, add an average to a good. If all you had was averages and the subject was a good, you need to increase it by some percentage.
Well, we're not looking at it that way. We're determining the value of this property if it were new, and then we're reducing it, just like a cost approach, as we discussed in the last hearing. And we're reducing that value based on the combination of age and condition. So this property was in good condition when it sold. So it's not a matter of this one was adjusted differently after it sold than the other properties that are in this list. These are currently $60,000 in assessment above what they sold for in 22.
Right.
But they're not necessarily $60,000 above what they were assessed for in 22. I'm assuming, we'd have to look at these properties and see actually, let me bring one up. I think that would be clearer. Six. So this is 1870 River Inn Lane. Was assessed for 770, this was a 22 sale. So in 23, it was assessed for 803. In 24, it was reduced to 774. As I mentioned earlier, this neighborhood went down between 23 and 24 by an average of 1.4%. So this makes sense that this assessment went down. And then between 24 and 25, it went from 774 to 866. So even though this property sold for 803, it was then the next year assessed for 774. and we go back to the mass appraisal and we're looking for that median sale and, what that indicates to us. Does that answer the question? Or am I missing it?
I understand what you're asking, and
Yeah,
I get
I think
the
you-
concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand. That's all.
Okay. How do you put a number on the value of the renovations?
It's really based on what's done. So they're broad categories like everything else we do. So if kitchens and baths, typically that's what we call a good condition. If kitchens and baths are renovated, that creates a good condition for a property. There can be nuances of other things that are done, but that's kind of the general.
Well, prior to these renovations, was this average and then it moved up to good?
Yes,
Or
sir.
It was, okay.
Is there what rate do you put on that change from good to average?
Okay, that I can answer through our tables.
Well, Mr. Lynch is looking at that. Did the applicant have, did you wish to give rebuttal or to reply?
Just two comments. Danielle Stein did come out to the home, did a walkthrough after I filed, and the initial assessment for 2025, just to clarify, was $996,400. I love my home. It's a beautiful home. We love living here. I'm not sure it's worth that much money. It was subsequently reduced after Danielle's walkthrough to $967,200, which is where it is currently right now. I think the assessor's office just came up with a value of $940, based on their dollar value. And I think if we take the $3,500 out for the assessed value of the Whirlpool, which we don't have, I think we've got a reasonable number. And just provide that for input.
Thank you.
Sir.
I do want to correct something that I said earlier. I was reading the note and the note said that I told you that the property was reduced $84,000 and change during the review, and it didn't. It went down 29,000 during the review. And I confirmed that the actual change we made. I will have to go back and correct that note. So I apologize for that.
But I'll take the 84.
Totally. I found it. Okay, so this property, I'll compare this property's age, which was built
Can you
in
go in there and just
2002.
change it from good to average?
That would have been a quick way to do it. Thank you. Okay, so right now, and it's in good, we are reducing the value by 15%. So if we were to change that to average. Sorry. I'm in way too many things. I got into that other parcel. 12942, 12942. The other parcel was 15% at average.
While he's doing that, you said you have a hot tub, but I don't see it listed on here.
I don't have a hot tub. That's the point.
Right, and the subject property here
in
doesn't
in
have
the
a hot
data-
tub
in the-
listed.
Yeah, in the data cards, the proper data cards lists the hot tub, and I think it assesses value of $3,500.
But this printout says you don't have a hot tub.
I don't.
So I'm wondering, did they not change the note? Is the $3,500?
It's
don't-
still in the current data card for the property.
Okay.
All right, I have an answer for you. It's 4% as good.
Okay. Like from excellent?
From new.
from new.
From new, correct.
And then the next step would be average.
An average would be 16%.
An additional
No, it would be
From-
16 instead of,
from new.
correct, from
So the
new
difference is 12.
is 12, correct,
And it only applies to the house, not the whole.
to the
So-
house.
Land.
Exactly.
$68,100. Comparables.
Mr. Lynch, I noticed the assessor provided comps are all in Still Meadow. But some of these others are in Dunlora, aren't they? Still, River End Lane's in Dunlora, isn't it?
I don't-
That's in Still Meadow also. I thought that
All
was.
theyese are in.
Yes, sir, they're all in.
They're all.
They're all Still,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay.
So, as Mr. Friedman said, these two on River Lane, River Inn, you just hold those as they're pretty close. One's a 1.5, one's a 2. Sales, blah, blah, blah. The only difference, I mean, nothing's perfect. Like the square footages aren't gonna be perfect, basements aren't gonna be perfect. But if you look at the percentage and change, and you applied the 12% difference between average to good to the average between River Inn and the two River Inns, you end up at 977. Did you do that, Mr. Friedman?
Yeah.
Did you do that same math?
Yeah.
Was I accurate?
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
And if you go the other way, if this property with that, if it was in average condition, we
Well,
would,
that-
we
that's
would
the
have it
other-
assessed at
That's
867,
the
which
easy
is,
way that
which
it
is
happened.
very similar to the other two.
I'm simply saying
Yeah.
this in that you're being treated equally with your neighbors. That's one of your possible arguments against your
Yeah, I think all the homes,
disagreement.
yeah, all the homes, I think it's 140 or 150 homes in Still Meadow. They're all the same. They were built roughly within 2 years of each other. And I think there was, your builder, I think there were 5 models roughly
Yeah.
in that
usually
area.
Goes.
Um,
We're not very creative. You can change the color.
I guess in closing, I just wanted to say, I'm assuming it just a second. I just felt that the assessed value currently of 30.36 higher, $225,000 over the median was a little rich. I think we just heard the assessor office talk about a price in the 940 range. I think that's more equitable. If we discount Whirlpool out of that, I think we're in an equitable area.
Mr. Mayo, we agree that there's no Whirlpool in there. You can see in the pictures after the renovation, what was there prior to the renovation is that Whirlpool shower, and what's now there is a clawfoot tub. So so we agree that should be removed. We're not, I just want to clarify, we're not saying that the property should be worth 940 based on the change in value, average change in value applied to the sale price. We're just saying that using that number comes up with something close to ours. We believe that our current assessment should be reduced by the amount of by 3,300. No, it would be adjusted. Actually, I will just take it out and we'll find out. Let's go to. Wait. Just take. Without that, it would be 963,400.
Okay. Very good. Any further questions from the board? Okay, are we ready to deliberate? All right, so let's deliberate on application number 38 first, since it's fresher in our minds, and then we can circle back to Mr. Burgoyne's application. Well, the appraisal has been reduced twice. Certainly coming here today was effective, in that we cleared up the Whirlpool piece. I have to say, when there's, when the sort of the margin of error or the amount is low in comparison to the price, they're separated here by, after the Whirlpool adjustment, I think, just about $35,000. I feel that the burden of proof starts to weigh more heavily in my mind. The smaller the difference between the two numbers, it just becomes very difficult to carry the burden of proof. I understand the analysis that Mr. McDermott put together. I would have a hunch that, using 2-year-old data and blending it with last year's data is going to be less accurate on the whole than using last year's data and the way the mass appraisal approach tends to do. And I guess the part that I always look at also is like the coefficient of dispersion and the fact that they're off by 0.55% on the median appraisal to sales ratio on those six, the closest six comparables, which I do believe are comparable. And so, although I understand Mr. McDermott's arguments, and I think that some of them are good arguments, they've proven good twice already. I don't feel that Mr. McDermott carries his burden of proof. That makes it more likely that 928 is the right number and not 964,200 or 964,400, wherever we ended after the Whirlpool amount. Long-winded introduction, but those are my thoughts.
Can you remind me of the number 964?
963.4.
Correct.
After Mr. Friedman's point about I've put every possible number on this. I don't think the assessor is off significantly or at all. Sometimes they're low, but I'm willing to compromise on what the assessors revised today at this meeting. I know, Evan, you're saying you're not, or you're just not.
Well, I think our options are to sort of set the number at something neither side asked for, or either of the two options. And I think if they're correcting a mistake on the Whirlpool, I'm inclined to just accept that at face value and say that's, and ultimately it's closer to his number, right? So I'm not really like pressure testing that. So I guess I was speaking in support of the last number that was offered by the assessor's office.
Are we allowed to do what was just mentioned about picking something in between? Or do we
Yeah.
have to go one or the
We
other?
have a firm reduce. We have a firm reduce or increase.
We can pick a
don't know
number
that
that
anybody's
neither asks
increased.
for if we feel it
Not that
represents fair market value. In fact, that's our duty.
So just to be clear, you're saying 963.4 right now as after adjusting for the hot tub, the lack of a hot tub.
That is correct.
Okay.
Could I just ask the applicant a question, even though we're in deliberation? Or is it too late?
No, of course.
In the assessor's analysis, he does have a paragraph that says the subject property has had many renovations before it was last purchased. Hardwood and ceramic tile flooring was replaced, kitchen was remodeled, master bath was renovated to luxury bath. All bathrooms are updated with new fixtures, lighting, mirrors, front and back doors were replaced. Deck was replaced with a larger one, new lighting throughout, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is all that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And that's why we bought the home.
okay, thank you.
But the issue is not what was in the home, or the issue is the assessment subsequent to that, based on And those are already factored in to the.
But all those renovations have
Yes.
taken place.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, does anybody here, do you have anything further to say? Want to talk? You're done. You don't. Mr. Beard. Okay. I'm okay with the assessors, so
Is there a
can I make
motion?
motion?
Yes.
Make the motion that the assessment be reduced to it's for $963,400.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The new assessment will be 963,400 for application number 38. Thank you.
To
Mr.
clarify,
Chairman.
we're adjusting the improvement, not the land.
Correct.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, so if everyone will turn back now to application number 36. There were no changes here at the end. The present value is 888,100, and the applicant, as a reminder, is requesting a reduction to $794,199. Any comments by the board?
I have one more question, I think for you, Mr. Lynch. In the assessor provided comparables, the dollars per square foot, the bottom row there. How does that factor in the finished or unfinished square footage of the basement?
That actually does not include the basement at all. I mean, it includes the value of the basement because it's using the total value, but it's using the square footage of the above grade square footage, finished area only.
Well, because the reason I ask is that of the assessor provided comps, all the 1 stories, unless I'm missing something, are higher per square foot than the subject.
They are, and
But some of them have finished basement.
three of them are higher grades than the subject. Three of them are A-1s instead of B+1s that the subject is. So that will automatically make them more valuable per square foot.
So is it my understanding correct also, Mr. Lynch, that we're assessing as of January 1 and the Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, that data was gathered and submitted in March of this year?
I don't know the effective date of any of those systems. And even if you looked at it in March, I don't know what date it would be using data. It's kind of part of it's the unknown of what's going on in the background and what's being used to determine those values. And it's my understanding that they're really using our assessment data as part of their query.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. I think I want to state on the record that this is my 4th year on the board, and in my experience, the assessor's office has been scrupulously honest and forthright in the work that they do to try to get these right. Sometimes to their detriment, sometimes when they make a mistake, sort of acknowledging that very much on the front end, and not playing this out as if it were a gladiatorial arena to set these prices. So I'd just like to add that for the record, as 4 years worth of experience, that's what I've observed.
Well, I will say I appreciate Mr. Burgoyne coming in today. We would all wish that our property taxes were lower. But I don't think he made the case that that his assessment should be lowered to the amount that he would prefer. But thank you for coming in, and we appreciate your interest in the Equalization Board.
Anyone else care to comment, or is there a motion? Does anyone wish to call the question?
I have more information if you would like it. Lewis just talked to Denise Ramey herself, who said, the property listed for 775,000, sold for 785,000 cash offer. All inspections waived, only one offer made, no other offers taken, as owner was happy with the 785 offer. Owner wanted to list higher, but was advised against it, as listing agent thought 775 was fair. Prior owner had already bought a condo in a retirement community. That's what he got for her.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
You're welcome.
Regardless of everything everybody's talked about, I run multiple numbers across this. And when you look at one story units, and you look at the comparable, basement finished, unfinished, all that stuff, I'm comfortable that what you've done here from a mass appraising standpoint is, accurate. And this assessment is, I can't find anything substantially wrong with it.
I'm on the same page. I've compared the dollars per square foot for the one-story homes in the neighborhood, and it's right there.
Okay. I move to affirm the assessor's valuation or appraisal assessment, excuse me, of application number 36. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there any other matters for us to take up today?
What is the assessed value? 888-100?
Yeah, I'll say that out loud. I guess I have to. Land value, 202,000. Improvements, 686,100. Total, 888,100.
Thank you for doing that. I will do better in the next meeting. Remember some of these things. Anything further before we adjourn? Okay. Are you all set on the minutes? Got everything? Okay. Thank you, David. Then we will adjourn the meeting at,
Somebody needs to do the adjournment. Who wants to?
oh, yes, you're right. So is there a motion to
Your
adjourn?
first one, it'll be okay.
Motion, I make a motion to adjourn.
21st. Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 11:32 a.m.
When is our next meeting?
The 12th,
The 12th,
Oh,
is that
is that-
still scheduled?
yeah, the 12th of May, yes.
Okay.
And it is full.
Okay.
So
How many total
I
applicants do
think
we
it's
have?
8 that day. and
That
half
day,
a
how about in total?
Oh, total applicants, I think there are 34 altogether, including the 2 today.
What do we say, the 12th? At what time?
Starting at
At the same time, 8:30.
8:30.
I'm sorry,
8:30?
the same
Let me
time
make
this one was
sure- let me
scheduled
Just make
for.
sure I got that on.
8:30 to 1 is the time period we set.
Is it likely we will go beyond 1 PM?
If we
If,
let it like
if it goes like today, it'll be 6 or 7 at night.
No,
I think
that's a No.
yes.
no, no.
I mean, yeah,
This is not something that should be this entertaining.
thank you for that, Louis.
That's my notes.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty fun.
Ah.